You know him, you love him. We're so glad to have him with us. We welcome in Pack-A-Day podcast host Andy Herman. Andy, first things first. First things first, man. You paved the way for this. And I texted you on Friday, and I said, this business sucks. And I'm so grateful that you are joining us on Mondays and Fridays. And I really am just grateful for your professionalism and choosing to still come on with us. And I know you're going to be missed, and hopefully we're received with open arms. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Hey, appreciate you guys. I had a whole vision when I started doing this entire thing, meaning the podcast, writing about the Packers, etc. And my entire vision is like, you know what's cool? Talking about the Packers. And so I don't really care the platform where I'm doing it, if it's on the radio, on a podcast, writing about the Packers. Who wants to talk to me if I'm going on my rival show, Locked On Packers, or if Peter Bukowski's coming on to talk Packers with me on the Pack-A-Day podcast. I just enjoy talking Packers, guys. So I appreciate the opportunity and excited to do this with you guys. 8:20 a.m. on Mondays and Fridays, and it's going to be a ton of fun.
Are you excited to talk about them today? Because we're cracking the can open with a really bad ending yesterday. So if you could put it in a nutshell, man, what went wrong?
Well, I think if you put together the blueprint, right, of like what would need to go wrong in order for the Packers to lose on the road to the Browns, man, did the Packers do an unbelievable job of following that blueprint right to the T. I thought Zach Cruz put it pretty perfectly on social media, on Twitter. 5 sacks, 14 penalties, average 3.8 yards per play, have a key turnover in the worst moment, and have a field goal blocked at the end with a chance to win the game. That's about the exact formula that you need to lose to the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland. And if any of those things go even remotely opposite, the Packers win that game. If they don't allow a ton of pressure on Jordan Love all game, if they don't commit 14 penalties, if they average better than 3.8 yards per play, if they don't have a really stupid interception in their own territory at the end of the game, and if they don't get their field goal blocked, if any of those things go different, Green Bay probably wins that game. So we talked about going in the kind of the keys to the game. Don't let Myles Garrett and the defensive line completely wreck you. Well, Myles Garrett and the defensive line completely wrecked you. Don't allow a big stupid special teams play. They allowed that. And then of course, turnovers are always going to be king. And yes, Green Bay got a Xavier McKinney kind of gimme at the end of the half, but that's not a real turnover. They really lost the turnover battle 1-0 at the end of the day. And again, it was a key turnover.
So Josh and I were talking earlier, and Josh, I want you to chime in here.
Yeah.
I'm the eternal optimist, and Josh is the eternal realist.
Yes.
So Josh, what were some of the realist things that you saw in the game yesterday that we want to hear from Andy?
Yeah, I mean, Andy, you kind of pointed out a lot of them right there, but I think that the offense in a lot of ways was exposed, right? Like this was going into this game, a lot of teams were talking about, I don't know how this Packers team can be stopped. Good Lord, do they look scary. Now you're looking at it like, oh, the way is through their offense, right? The Packers fans are going to be upset in general, but the defense still played tremendously well. You can't fault the defense for this, but there were so many faults on the offensive side of the ball. And now if you're other teams, you're looking at this from the offensive line. Okay, we can get to Jordan Love. If we get to Jordan Love and he's pressured, he's going to make mistakes. We saw him make many mistakes yesterday. My big takeaway as a realist, and I'm sorry that these fall in more of a negative category, Trevor, but that's the case. I started this by saying the defense was good. That's still being positive. There's a lot of flaws that were shown by this offense of the Packers in this game against the Browns. How much of that is just, all right, it was the first game on the road for this offense against a fantastic defense in the Browns? Or is this something that the Packers really need to get fixed, or it's going to hurt them all season?
Yeah, I think I can probably split the difference between you guys, between, realism and optimism here. From an optimistic standpoint, I'd be pretty stunned if the Packers offensive line plays a game as bad as this the rest of the season.
Hard to, yeah.
Like it's very difficult. They were completely annihilated in every phase. I know a lot of people want to talk about Matt LaFleur, the game planner, the play caller. Man, there's just not much on your play sheet when you can't run block and you can't pass protect. I mean, good luck in that situation, right? So I think from an optimism standpoint, they'll get some of this stuff cleaned up. The offensive line usually gels as the course of the season goes along, and I really do not expect a game as bad as this again. On the realistic side, one of the things I probably should have talked about more is, you guys know I go through and grade every player on every play. In the first 2 weeks of the season, in two, pretty easy wins, I actually had a pretty negative grade on the offensive line through those two games, especially in week two against Washington. And I kind of just thought, chalked it up to, again, I think they'll kind of get some of this stuff ironed out. And Zach Tom was supposed to come back this week. Aaron Banks was supposed to come back this week. Thought some of those things would again kind of figure themselves out as the season went along, especially with 10 days off in between games. And instead, it went in the exact opposite direction. Now, I know Zach Tom got hurt. Aaron Banks also went out in this game, and they had to shuffle a bunch of things around. But it was a really jarring performance from the offensive line. And the truth is if the offensive line plays like that at any point in time, especially when they're trying to make a run in the playoffs, you're just dead on arrival. You're not going to be able to do anything in a playoff game if the line plays like that. So that to me would be my concern, is that, we haven't seen any sort of consistency. Elton has not looked great at center through 3 weeks. It was actually one of the key takeaways I talked about going into this week of I don't think he's played well yet. And I thought he had another rough game. And then you just saw Jordan Morgan, somebody that you're counting on for depth. I thought was terrible last week and now terrible this week as well. I think there's real question marks there. And that's the biggest thing, because it doesn't matter what wide receivers, quarterback, Josh Jacobs, et cetera, that you have. If you can't protect and you can't run block, again, you're just screwed going into pretty much any given game.
Andy Herman joins us on Inside Wisconsin Sports. You can hear him every Monday and every Friday at 8:20 here on the show for the rest of the Packers season at Andy Herman NFL on Twitter. I don't think I realized, Andy, the idea of Micah Parsons unlocking Rashawn Gary and Lucas Van Ness. There was a part of me that thought they were bringing Parsons in, A, because sweet, let's do that. If we can do that, let's do that. But B, I was worried that they were not moving on from Lucas Van Ness, but they were kind of I don't know, we got to do something to help that side. There was numerous plays yesterday where all three were in there.
Yeah.
And Lucas Van Ness was involved in the first sack of the game, and he was last week. So did you see that coming with bringing Micah Parsons in and unlocking Rashawn Gary and Lucas Van Ness?
It was certainly the hope. And again, if you're looking for more reasons for optimism, I think the defense proved again that they are a championship defense. Through 3 games, the Packers have allowed the fewest points in the NFL. Nobody can match them. They're at 44 points through 3 games so far. So the defense has been absolutely, just astonishing in what they've been able to accomplish so far. But I kind of related it to a pitcher rotation in baseball where, as Josh is wearing the Brew Crew gear, actually you might both be. I can't tell, Trevor, if you've got the Brewer gear on there or just the right colors. But
no, I just wore the home team is all I.
There you go. That works. That works. But the Brewers got CC Sabathia, right? It's not just adding CC Sabathia to the top of the rotation, but now your 1 becomes your 2, your 2 is your 3, your 3 is your 4, and so on and so forth. It felt like that's what they're doing on the defensive line. Is now Rashawn Gary doesn't have all that pressure to be the ace. He can be the number 2 guy, and LVN doesn't have to be your number 2 guy. He can be the 3, and Devontae Wyatt can be the 4, and so on and so forth. So to me, that was definitely the hope going in. But sometimes you have these ideas of how it's going to look on paper, and then you get to the actual execution of it, and you're like, Rashawn Gary just kind of looks still like Rashawn Gary. But with him getting a ton of one-on-ones and abilities to rush in a variety of different ways, you're seeing, I don't know that it's an improved Rashawn Gary, but it's a Rashawn Gary that's just getting in a whole heck of a lot more advantageous positions. He's certainly made the most of it so far. I think LVN has taken a step as well. And you're just seeing a defensive front that's really, really complicated to go against, especially when you add an Edgerrin Cooper on the second level who can, loop in and do a bunch of stuff from the second level as well. It's a very, very frightening defensive front. And it's just unfortunate that Green Bay couldn't play from ahead a little bit more in this game to be able to put even a little bit more pressure on Joe Flacco.
How fast do we have to flush this one, Andy? 14 penalties. There's a lot that needs to be corrected, but we're at Dallas in less than a week.
Yeah, I think the big thing here is right now, as awful as this tastes, it's just a one-off for now. It's just a complete, one-off that if you don't repeat that again, we'll look back at it over time and be like, wow, that was really weird. Can you believe they lost, week 3 in Cleveland? In the season they went 14-3 or 13-4 or something. That was a really weird result. What you can't do is, of course, let it linger, and you have to be able to learn from the mistakes in this game. I think this mostly sets up pretty well in the fact that, this is even though Dallas is really crappy so far, which is also kind of an advantage, this kind of has a big fight feel to it because it's on Sunday Night Football. It's the Micah Parsons and Kenny Clark revenge games and sort of things like that. So I think these teams are going to be amped up for this game. I think that is an advantage for Green Bay. And if they can get this win in Dallas and go out there and hopefully perform well, and then at the end of it, get that bye right after and just kind of have a little bit of a reset and say, okay, we're 3-1 going into the bye. Let's get our offensive line and hopefully everyone else a little bit more healthy. You've got Christian Watson, maybe Marshawn Lloyd coming back soon, which both should help the offense. I think that provides you a real opportunity there. And then you get Cincinnati with, Jake Browning, coming in right after that. I think this thing has the ability to course correct itself. The biggest thing for me is, can you learn from your mistakes and can you improve that offensive line play moving forward?
Hey, Andy, how much, and trying to give LaFleur the benefit of the doubt here, how much of the problems, especially with the offense and the offensive line, just came from incorrect scheming, right? Because, LaFleur admitted immediately that they should not have brought Tom back. First play goes down, re-injures the oblique. But he obviously, it was all planned around him being there, the offensive line being different. I know the offensive line isn't the same as like a quarterback, right? As far as scheming, but how much of that changed the game to where if now they plan for against Dallas, you're not going to have Tom, you're not going to have Banks. If they plan that way, how much of that do you think changes in just the performance and the scheming from LaFleur in Dallas?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think to me, the Zach Tom thing is disappointing on so many different levels. Going into the game, I heard a lot of people talking about Tucker Kraft, Zach Tom, and saying, like, I don't want to see them play in this game. Let them get healthy. Don't bring them back too soon. Like, let them get the rest. You've got a bye coming up in a couple weeks. And next week, they're going to be in Dallas on the turf. Like, just give them the 2 weeks. You can beat Cleveland. You can beat Dallas without maybe needing those two. And let's get them the time that they need to rest. And I'm just like, you know what? I don't have their medical charts. Even if I did, I wouldn't know what the heck to do with them in the first place. But all I can do is trust that the medical staff, the player, and the coaches are going to put the players in the best position to succeed. And part of the job description of football is that if you're hurt, you kind of have to play. It's just sort of the job description. You have to go out there. There's only so many of these games, and you need to kind of go out and win every one that you can. And so if they're ready to play and they think they can play, I get it. I no longer give them that benefit of the doubt. After last year where, quite frankly, Jordan Love, Jair Alexander, and Christian Watson all came back too early from injury. I think that's fair to say. Now, in the first big kind of injury that you had, you brought Zach Tom back way too early from injury. That just can't happen. And it can't happen because now Zach Tom is probably going to, I would assume, miss extended period of time after this injury. And I would also say that, to your point, it completely changes your game plan going into this game and just all the shuffling around that you have to do throughout the course of the game. Now, I give them a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt on Aaron Banks because it's a different injury. And I will say this, maybe all four of these, maybe Jordan last year, Christian last year, Jair last year, Zach Tom this year, maybe they're all flukes. Maybe every single one of them was like, you know what? They checked out perfectly. Every doctor in the world would have said, absolutely, go out and play. There's no issue here whatsoever. They absolutely should be playing in this game. But I no longer give them the benefit of the doubt after this one. And I think that's fair because there's just been too many players brought back too early that have either aggravated, re-injured, or had some sort of issue coming back too early from injury. They just have to be smarter with it. And not only does it affect them in this game, but it affects them now in the long term with Zach Tom aggravating an injury as well.
Nailed it. Andy Herman, NFL, the Pack-A-Day podcast, joining us here on Inside Wisconsin Sports every Monday and every Friday for the rest of the season at 8:20. Andy, I'm going to the Dallas game.
Okay.
And I asked everybody today, as we wrap up with you, my friend, I'm going to slip a thank you card underneath Jerry Jones's office door. And I just want to put in a whole bunch of messages from Packer fans on just how much it meant to us for his gift. If you could just write a quick 7-word thank you message to Jerry, I'll include it in the card. What is it?
Yeah, I don't have a thing. I'm just gonna. Can I pitch in for like an edible arrangement or something? Can we add a little something to it?
Nice.
Because I feel like just the card maybe isn't enough. I feel like we need to have a little bit. I feel like an edible arrangement would go a long way. Like if we all as a Packers nation like chipped in for like just the nicest edible arrangement to ship over to him, it would look awesome. Like from Packers fans to Jerry, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. We're really enjoying Micah Parsons so far. I think that would go a long way.
That's good.
Do they have cheese? Do they have cheese in the edible arrangements?
Yeah,
that could work out well.
Yeah.
I feel like I want to make that 6th grader handwritten thank you card, though, right? Like,
yeah, in crayon.
Try to draw.
Right, in crayon.
Try to draw Micah Parsons and the G, which I'm terrible at. Andy, we appreciate you, man. We will talk to you on Friday, brother.
Hey, can't wait. Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate it. Enjoy the new show. It's you're killing it so far.